Hi, welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm Arsen Kashkashian, the head buyer here at the Boulder bookstore. And one of the great joys of my job is actually buying the sale books. It's so unpredictable. You just don't know what you're going to find. Sometimes I travel and I go to, not lately obviously, and you go into these warehouses, these dusty warehouses, and you end up seeing like a box of books that's amazing. Like, there's these books that we can sell really well here in Boulder, that for some reason the publishers unloaded, or some Costco somewhere didn't want them and returned them to the publisher, and the publisher didn't even look at what they had and sent it to a remainder wholesaler. So anyway, this is one of the great fun, it's totally unpredictable, you never know what you're going to see. Usually you're disappointed, but occasionally you get something great. So in early January, probably the 3rd or the 4th, I got a list of sale books from my Princeton University rep. Now, when a university press puts books on sales, it's usually 20-year-old doctoral dissertations in an $80 hardback, like a gray jacket. It's terrible. So I usually glance at these lists and I don't buy anything. Or sometimes maybe I buy 5 or 6 books on a list of 500 books. But this Princeton list was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. I thought she maybe sent me the wrong lists, and I called her and said, "Is this list for real? Is everything on the level here? What's going on?" But she said it was real, and so we bought the books. I bought the books, and they've all come in, and they're beautiful, and I seem to be spending a lot of my paycheck on the books. So I'm hoping that I can entice some people out there to spend their paychecks on the books. So we're going to get started. Princeton publishes nonfiction in different categories, and I'm going to go through some of the books and some of the categories we have. This is a small smattering of the titles we got. We probably got 75 titles altogether. I'm going to quickly talk about maybe a dozen of them. So one of the great topics that they cover is nature and science, and they have some of the best field guides there are. And so one of our favorite books here at the Boulder bookstore is Trees of Western North America. This is a book we sell really well. It talks all about the trees in our area of the country, and I thought people might be interested in the Cannabaceae hemp family page. There's more than one hemp plant out there, but anyway, I don't think this is going to make your day in the way some other hemp plants might. But this is a great guidebook. This is a book that we sell usually at full price, and now we're selling it for less than half price while supplies last. I feel like Crazy Eddie, if you knew from New York, if you're in the New York area where he would sell stereo equipment. Crazy Eddie, we got the best deal ever! But anyway, this is a great deal. Also, in the same vein, Birds of Western North America Photographic Guide. This is another beautiful book, really just about the best book available for birds in this region of the world. And the illustrations are magnificent. This book is for just $8.98, believe it or not. Then, not as a field guide, but just a typical science book, is Bird Brain. You might be looking at me like I'm a bird brain for this crazy routine, but this is another very lucidly explained science book that they do. They're so great. Princeton is one of the best at popularizing science, popularizing difficult concepts, making them simple, making them easy, but making them entertaining, but still retaining a lot of the complexity, a lot of the nuance that really goes into the scientist's work in trying to understand these things. So all sorts of illustrations in here. They also published David Attenborough, and so you might remember some of his TV shows, Life of Mammals, where there's a Life of Birds as well. I like these guys. I think that might be one of my cousins. So, off of nature, we're going to go to myths, basically. So they do a ton of mythology. They're one of the top publishers in fairy tales, folk tales. Here's one of the ones I love: Workers' Tales, Socialist Fairy Tales, Fables and Allegories from Great Britain. So there's actually tales of, elves and fairies, but with socialist messages. What could be better now? There could even be a fairy tale. I haven't read the whole book, but there could be a fairy tale about a public option for healthcare. I'm not sure, but here it is. Great book. I like this one too, even though maybe we're coming out of our disillusionment. Fairy Tales for the Disillusioned. And this is just a great collection of fairy tales over the years, about people, situations that led to disillusionment. I would think watching fairy tales, most of them seem to be for disillusioned people, but this is a nice collection. And finally, the Sorcerers Apprentice Anthology of Magical Tales. This is edited by Jack Zipes. Zipes, besides for being one of the few authors who has had a long career with a Z name, Emile Zola comes to mind as well, but Zipes is probably the foremost translator and authority on fairy tales that is going right now. And this is just a marvelous collection. It's a beautiful book. I recommend it. So another area that they cover well is philosophy. And I must admit, I am not a huge philosophy reader, but I've gotten a little more into it because I watched The Good Place. And like, what's going on with The Good Place, right? So, and lo and behold, Princeton does have some philosophical books that even a Good Place watcher like me could understand. This is Ethics in the Real World, 82 Brief Essays on Things That Matter by Peter Singer. Singer is best known for his work with animal rights, coming up with the philosophical underpinning of the animal rights movement. But he's one of the best known philosophers. He had a column for a long time in a paper where he talked about ethical philosophical questions. And this is a collection, very readable, about 82 of those columns. It's really fun. And then, of course, Would You Kill the Fat Man? The Trolley Problem and What Your Answer Tells Us About Right and Wrong. This is probably the most famous ethical conundrum. You're on a trolley, you go this way, you keep going the way you're going to kill 6 people. If you change the trolley's tracks, you're going to kill one fat guy or something. This is a book, it looks into this problem. This is a fun problem. There was a whole episode on The Good Place devoted to this problem. And so again, it's a kind of a fun, easy way to get into philosophy. Great deal in this book. And then finally, the book that I am reading, because even those books do take some brain work. This book is called Heretics, The Wondrous and Dangerous Beginnings of Modern Philosophy. This goes through philosophy in the 17th century, how unexciting can you get? What am I recommending? All these new books out there, I'm recommending 17th century philosophy. But look, first of all, it's a graphic novel, and we love those. And look, right on page 1, you got somebody burning at the stake. I mean, it just gets better from there. You end up with Galileo and Descartes, and suddenly all these kind of thoughts that created our modern world come together really well in this graphic novel. It's just beautifully done. I believe it's a father-son team, Stephen Nadler and Ben Nadler, who did the philosophy and the illustrations. A lot of fun. My daughter's reading it at 12 years old, getting a lot out of it. Highly recommend this. And then, I know, this is Boulder. What does Boulder love? We love Young. Freud, not so much. Young, we love Young. Who publishes Young? Princeton publishes Young. Dream Interpretation, Ancient and Modern. And this is a book we sell all the time at regular price. Now it's available for less than half price. Also, The History of Modern Psychology by Young. It's by him. It's not Jungian. It is Young. Can't get better than that. Finally, Princeton also does some great history. And this is a book called The Story of America, Essays on Origins by Jill Lepore. Lepore is one of the best known historians out there. She had a book recently called These Truths, which came out from Norton, covered the history of the whole country. She writes for the New Yorker. She is one of the best writers out there. If you ever get a chance to see her speak, I would highly recommend that. This is a collection of her pithy essays on all different things about the origins of America. And once again, it's a book that we did great with at full price. Now it's yours for just $11.98. You can't beat it. This is Crazy Arsen. So please watch all our YouTube videos. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you soon. Bye.